Greetings in the name of the King of Kings, Lord of Lords, conquering Lion of the tribe of Judah, elect of himself and light of this world, Kadamawi, Haile Selassie, Jah, Rastafari. I'm trying to touch a little bit on religion and God consciousness, quick, short, brief clip. And what I'm trying to, is to stimulate rational thought. Now, to think that hundreds of thousands of years ago, Black Africans emerged on this earth, and hundreds of thousands of years, we have the oldest DNA in the Sand people. So by logical deduction, you can conclude that the oldest known people were Africans. So once these people came about, evolved, spontaneously erupted, however you choose to put it, it would be ridiculous to say that they spent hundreds of thousands of years in complete savagery, waiting for the Caucasians to descend from the Caucasus Mountains to teach them about the God. Especially if it is known that we own the oldest known civilizations. The oldest civilizations, the African civilization. And a civilization has certain elements that are required to be classified as a civilization. And religion and God consciousness are no less important than infrastructure, courts, waterways, roadways. I mean, these are things that all make up part of a civilized society. Laws, rules, regulations, schools of thought, philosophy, spiritual guidance, etc. So these as known in ancient African civilization, enlightened people of the society were seen enlightened, and pun on the word, emphasis on enlightened, because an enlightened individual is recognized. An enlightened individual still is recognized, regardless of what you're enlightened with. Enlightened in, you can be enlightened to multiple things. And these enlightened individuals were seen as directly touched by a higher source, a higher being, a higher power. So to that end, kings, rulers were seen as representatives of a higher being amongst man, and they were elected based on multiple criteria. It wasn't the fact that, his family had money, so he was selected, or he had light skin, or light or straight hair. No, it was much deeper than skin and physical appearances. So when these enlightened individuals were elected to rulership, like I said, they were seen as direct representatives of a higher being and intermediaries between the people and the higher being. So it developed a God consciousness, and the enlightened individual, the leader, the ruler, the king specifically, was seen as God in the flesh, or the manifestation of this supreme being, this supreme force that enlightens the individual, represented in flesh form. So for us today as Rastafari, in continuation with African traditions and with reality, because ultimately an enlightened individual becomes enlightened because of things that are to a great extent beyond the common comprehension of a lot of individuals. So when an individual is crowned King of Kings, if you're not mentally aware, conscious of what it means, then it goes by as nothing. But to those who are enlightened, to those who are aware, then for an individual to be crowned King of Kings, it says something. And Haile Selassie has been crowned King of Kings in our dispensation of time, but hundreds of thousands of years ago, there were other kings of kings crowned in ancient time, and each and every one of them was revered. Each and every one of them was seen as a God manifestation in the flesh. Ultimately, we are a godly manifestation. What determines what we exhibit is the way we nurture our consciousness, the way we nurture our soul, the way we nurture our positive chakras. And once these enlightened individuals went on into the afterlife, a lot of them were deified, especially if their works were worthy. So ultimately, the God consciousness and religion aspects of civilized society were things that were originated by black Africans, the trendsetters. So in the year 2014 of the Lord Jesus, a ridiculous non-existent entity, for you to come and still try to push that Islam and Christianity and what you call it, all the other religious crap that they push out there were things or are things that are necessary for African development. I find it absolutely ridiculous, because these things were derived from what the Africans originated. And most all of these religions were stolen from scrolls on pyramid walls of Africa. So religion, godliness, God consciousness, and all these things began in Africa. So for you to use a religion that starts with a Caucasian pair, Adam and Eve, and worships a Jesus figure who never existed anywhere, and try to push it as something that Africans need, when it was the same thing that was used to practically enslave a lot of us mentally up until today. It's beyond absurd. You know, it's something that's worth giving some thought. Think about it, and if you think it's debatable, leave a comment. You know, we can always debate, and if I'm wrong, you correct me. If you're wrong, then I hope you find guidance. Yeah, and remember to give thanks. Hail the King of Kings, Jah Rastafari.